All right. I had to turn it up a little. Turn it down. All my good brothers, sisters of the feather. Okay. Okay. I had to turn my air conditioner off, y'all. It is hot out here in California, but it's also foggy. All right. Had to check out some national landmarks and few places today. We got some extraordinary pictures, some images, you know, utilized for our good brothers and sisters of the feather. As y'all know, our good brother Chief Holiday DJ Cut will be going on at 4:30. I came to shed some light on some information, uh, and for me, it's kind of being petty, but at the same time, certain things need to be clear. Um, I see that it's a lot of our good brothers and sisters of the feather who are confused on the origins of this English language. And that's because you have people who play around with this word English. And we get a very, very, um, I don't know what to call it. I mean, I guess expression. It's like, you know how today there's no second place or third place, everybody's first place, and how they made everything soft. It's almost as if that is what has it's the same basically analogy for the way many communities have become. It's all kind of communities breaking out, branching. A lot of the Pan African Afrocentric is dead. You got more people talking about what's going on today and what's going on in politics or the latest stuff you can imagine. Hell, even talking about Dave Chappelle being canceled is important to a great deal of people. So the drive and expression of how a person feels when he's saying something is like to be accepted, even if the person is in error. Let them keep going in error. Well, with me, I do not let that saying go down. So I have a video on my Matthew Douglas Craig channel, about 28 to 30 minutes. Video I did about 5 years ago. Let me see if I could go out and hopefully it won't mess up on me. Video I did about 5 years ago. Well, in this video, I show all the details to the English language, the structure, and I literally read everything. You know, it'll put you to sleep. Times. So let me find out exactly what year. In fact, get a screenshot. Should have took a little break. Hold on, y'all. Okay. Traditional. Peace to everybody in the chat. Appreciate y'all taking your time. Come check me out. Peace to everybody in the chat. Appreciate y'all taking your time. All right, loud and clear. Okay. So let me start loading up some images. Get into music for y'all. Soon, I'll be changing up, loading up other music. Be hearing it over and over, man. Go upgrade a little bit, take some steps. Soon be upgrading completely. Nothing my hour take over here on our Supreme Peak Holiday channel. Y'all check them out about 4:30. Supreme Peak Holiday and my good brother DJ Cut. And let me load up these images. Yeah, man, this shit taking forever to load. Hold on, yo. Okay, so there we go. Yeah, go check out this video. The long ass name video. Traditional, indigenous, provisional linguistics versus the international phonetic alphabet. Go check out that video and you'll get the details to the creation of this alphabet and the way that we use it today, according to what they say. Like, I literally read it according to what they say. And emphatically, I have to reiterate this. I've been yelling for years that everything after Inquinabula has been some bull. Like literally. Again, I reiterate this. Been saying this for many years. Many years. But I'll say I've been saying this, on social media since 2015. That before Inquinabula, all the information is and supposedly written is bullshit, and all the information written after 1500 is bullshit. Okay? Okay. Uh, I don't have to mention it again, but here you get the details. So I'm saying that to say that even though I know that the information that is in what I'm sharing is incorrect, it still defeats the person who has a rebuttal or a resounding man, I got this shit low as hell. Yeah. Decent rebuttal. So basically, I don't know why my other images wouldn't load up. Okay. I'm gonna try one more time. Damn, am I gonna have to get it again? Damn. Come on, man. God. Oh shit. Okay, so basically what we're getting at is that when it comes to these languages, it's literally no decent source that is ever presented. Oh man, come on. It's ever presented because it has to be empirical data, and majority of the time it's not. The way that we speak English today, and the way that these printing presses had the letters and the setup and the font type and all that were a certain way. So what you have is the fonts before the 18th century. Man, is this the right stuff? Yeah. Okay. So you know, to make sure that you have the empirical data to the information that you're talking about, you want to make sure that you do, a contrast and well, you just basically gather your sources. Let me make it. I want to say as simple as possible. Uh, you get as many books that validate what you're saying, just off the point that it's this so-called English language, and you take it to every definition possible. And then you calculate all the different definitions possible. So, what I'll tell you this is that the Noah's Webster's dictionary definitions are not the same as the definitions in family heritage books. Okay? When it comes to the words on Rosetta Thesaurus, that's when some of the words that'll match that's on what Family Heritage Books has. Family Heritage Books has its own like language, and this is language for surnames and stuff like that that were invented before the time of this person having these names. So, uh, but the point is that this person supposedly being some top linguist being a Danish. I don't even have a picture of him because I don't want to do that. It's ridiculous that they paint everybody in history as something other than what they are. So I'll just focus on the important part is, for one, this person, Rasmus Christian Nelson Roch, right? Has a very weird name, but supposedly changed it to Ross. So there's already a play in the name. So when it comes down to this, I just want to make sure this stuff is completely squashed. That when you try and use any of these people's work supposedly outside of America, you always find that in the end it comes down to America. So basically you see here his name, his so-called accomplishments and so on. But the point is I'm saying, he is supposedly the writer of several grammar, worked on comparative phonology and morphology. So when it comes to a person who they're saying is doing that, and the languages that are brought up are Icelandic, Russian, Persia, India, Ceylon, University of Copenhagen, um, but everything ends with American Philosophical Society. It brings me back to what I've been trying to explain, and many people are not understanding this, that you have the Society for the Fusion of Useful Knowledge supposedly being created in early 1800s. I don't know the whole source on the beginning. I just know that when it takes hold to some pictures of some people supposedly doing it around 1875, it is when the so-called Slovak people are coming into power. And if you look into the languages, these are all Slovak languages. So this person with supposedly Slovak stuff going on, named Rasmus Ras, and all these Slovak languages, you see that it says that Rosk is especially known for its contributions to comparative linguistics, including an early formation of what would later be known as Grimm's Law. And I state that emphatically again to say that it's not Grimes' Law, that it's Grimm's Law, right? And Grimm's Law, when you look at it, it's a bunch of fairy tales. Okay? So these Slovak people after 1875 had made up all this stuff, right? So people will go back and forth debating that who really had it first, when the whole time both of the stories are fake. And you really don't get them doing anything until 1875. So it is like, let me show you the other one. Where the other one at? Okay, so what's the accolades they give? The American Philosophical Society, right? They say founded in 1743 in Philadelphia. So I know we got some brothers and sisters out in Philadelphia. So I'm gonna make it plain and simple that basically they're trying to push the year back to them being over there in 1743. Deep, I don't know, I guess, but they have these so-called locations. Go look up each and every one of these locations, and you'll see that they're ancient structures. So you have a group of people who take over. After some mud floods happened, anybody look up all the mud floods that were happening during the 1860s. A lot of people lost their lives. Some I've seen some pictures of some of the mud looked like it was 100 feet, you know, above the ground, or if not more. That everything was just covered up and knocked over. So, I've seen the images. Um, they didn't get over here until 1870. So I don't know. Um, when it comes to the details of the language, check out the American Horror Story, please, and you'll get the details. Besides that, I wanted to get that out the way and express that when it comes to linguistics and it comes to stories, right? When you read stories such as a group of people, they say basically lived all over the place. And they say everybody is of this one group. Whenever I've studied something that said that, it was always incorrect. And I find that even over here, that the one thing that seemed to have spread were all these popular names. But when I dug down into what stuff I'm really connected to, it's to none of these names, right? Man, when it comes to the names that are accepted and the words that are accepted, it always has somebody that's, a Tonto or even a $5 Indian attached to it. And maybe we need to find out some better words to just say basically pale face dictionaries, stuff they put together. The way that they want people to speak. They started changing it in the 1880s, if not starting it the way they want to. How it was before, I don't even know. All I know is from black and white pictures. And I have to make sure the black and white pictures aren't photoshopped, showing printing presses, and then showing what supposable printing presses looked like 500 years ago. Man, a lot of this stuff is a joke. Um, so just know that in the American Horror Show, you get the details to who and what proves, saying, showing and proving that the language we speak today, both high frequency and low frequency words, come from none other than languages that were spoken here. But the languages that were spoken here, that these words come from, are two and few languages. Because when you try and, attach what names to who, most of these names attach back to Tonto, like damn near you just type in the names that are them and not really our people. You can just type in Navajo. See, but again, I'll show that all these languages right here, all these languages have some Tonto, ionized Cody person attached to them. When you look up the dictionaries in each one of these languages, and they all work together. I personally know. I have personally ran into some issues, even sharing information that I've shared on this channel, such as the name Pasadena. Originally in Wikipedia, when you typed in Pasadena and you went down there, it literally said Pasadena comes from a Chippewa word, which is Ojibwe word for Crown of the Valley. I put it out there. I even put it in some of my titles on my Matthew Douglas Craig channel. And now the people here who know who I am have changed the definition on Wikipedia. And now when you go look at it, it's going to say Pasadena comes from the Gabriano word pasacagna, just like that. See, just like that, um, making an effect. Can't get caught up on these little words and all this shit that don't really get you anywhere. For one, but when it comes to the, saying the the shit needs to be shown and proven, and I have to say that when it comes to words that I found for any other language other than the highway languages, that's it. The highway or whatever it's an older way for saying it. That's it, and it's not something that y'all have heard, and it's not a bunch of different languages either. I got people confused. Like we had a whole bunch of man, where's it at? Like we had a whole bunch of languages, and we was just mixing it up and remixing and freestyling up some language and stuff, and making some symbols. Now people believe in like, yeah, these symbols are Hebrew, man. Y'all been letting these pale faces from that made all these dictionaries tear y'all brains up, all in your mind, man. Those are not Hebrew symbols. Okay, there's no such thing as Hebrew symbols. So people say they know, yeah, they know Hebrew symbol, but then you trying to use the Hebrew sounds in the Hebrew definition. And that's the real end all be all to it. Damn, man, that shit even in here. Sheesh. So, yeah, Gawi no Waga. Yeah, Gawi no Waga. Other than that, it's bullshit. Like where I even pull out my stuff. And that's for Canada, North America, Central America, and South America. Because these languages all match up to each other. Like even in um Gawi Nowaga, instead of saying ganja, it's ganda. So you'll even find connections with the other sectors of this area on the earth. But those are languages that have language isolates that are along the islands, Central America, and the northern part of South America. It's not easy, what I'm saying, to contact people who really speak it. But for a good example, since I see they're watching my stuff, I'll explain it like this because they don't like the way it's explained like this. So you have what's called Shishamonga people, right? Shishamonga people are the people that came from the earth. Shishamonga and is just a little different on the parts of the definition, but it's still leading to the same thing. And this word shisha. So when I come out saying shishamonga, and then I find out that there's a group of people who are $5 Indians, and they are working with some other, dirty folk or whatever, and they're trying to like take over, trying to dominate anything historical that's going on. So even within these group of people that made these so-called language dictionaries, where you can go download them all you gotta do is put a dictionary PDF behind them, and you can get each and every single one of them. Probably get some of the ones that I got. Troll, you get it? By the same people. Just want to explain it again. The same people who do not have our best benefit. Beyond that part, because we can call that a red herring, these are the way that they are saying the words. When I started making my Seneca language videos, I had a lot of Seneca people approaching me foul because I exposed their pigeon form of Seneca. And that's what you're going to find in all these languages up here. But the people who came over, we call Tatar Sicilians. You know, we can really say that Sicilian people are the Africans that came from Europe, Northern Africa. I agree. That would make Iron Eyes Cody an African. These are them. And since they come over, what what language did they have? What did they bring with them? And when you dig into the languages, each one of these languages here, you can literally expose. All you gotta do is type in that language connection to Siberian languages, and if you get a connect there, ding ding ding, that language is knocked off of the chart. So when you really deal with who's teaching you the language, saying definition, like the only dictionary I found with a so-called African American and black in it was the language looking up the Gawe Nowaga. That's the only one that I've really found any words that's really connected to something that I know people even said in the South to me, like saying my guaguas. If y'all know any of y'all aunties or whatever, and they called their grandmother or they elder woman in the community that they like looked up to, like guaguas or something like that. That's also in Gawi Nawaga. Uh, Now we are gonna use whatever language that we want to, whatever one we feel that we have some ancestry to. But what I want to suggest to everybody is to let go trying to connect yourself to all these so-called names that you see up here. You know what I'm saying? And these certain languages because they have doctored them. I just wanted to make sure I got it out for a third time. That all the languages have been tainted. Few of the languages have keys to some of the words, and some of those keys you will find in Gawe Nowaga. And the other languages around, I don't know. The other ones got gay and God in them, God Nawaga and Gawe, Highway and stuff like that. So on that part, I don't know what to tell anybody. Um, the part that want everybody to pay attention to, that when it comes to the Iroquois nation, that when you look up the stories of the Iroquois, they're the bringers of knowledge. They're the bringers of writing rules and being political and kicking off the Republican Party, the Confederation or Confederate there. The same time attached to what they're saying is war. Got to get more details on exactly what happened, but when you get the numbers on that, uh, you get 13 different tribes that were involved. So I don't know about all the other 500 and all that type of stuff, other than looking up whatever your family name is. And if you got a name that doesn't go back to one of their surnames, doesn't go back to one of their so-called biblical names, then you can go ahead and put that in. names goes back to one of the so-called Arabic stuff. Just want to remind people, remind everybody that even though law basically comes from, right, falls short of being authentic and having empirical data because they made up these stories after the 1870s due to the information that I have found. And they didn't really start making up a lot of the stuff that has us brainwashed until the early 20th century. You know what I'm saying? Uh, I don't know what's that, a news flash or a spoiler alert? Yeah, all these little surnames and all this stuff that we have attached to, yeah, all appreciate for the donation. Finally turned that notification on. I wasn't getting that at first. Appreciate you. You make sure everything sound right. Okay, so when I break down Shishamunga, Shashamunga, the other names that they changed it to are Shoshone. Now you'll see Shoshone up there. So that's how I know I have to knock out the Shoshone situation in the language because I know it has been compromised. So then I look up Shoshone and see that, oh, that's the group Shishamunga, and changed it to, oh, they changed it to Tongue to Gabrianos, and now they call themselves the Kiza Nation. From the creation of those, look into the source, you're gonna find, Sicilian, Siberian cephalic head sides, and then you have the brachiocephalic head ones. I don't care what color the eyes or the hair. These are over there, wherever they came from. The Golden Horn, no. I've been finding a lot of stories that have no evidence, so I don't even dig into any of that because I guess that's when they say a great deal of exchange of linguistics took place, supposedly, but there's no evidence of that. Then you have the damn Iroquois story saying that they knock over a tree and they fall through the damn hole from knocking out the hole that the tree left and fall down to earth, land on a big ass turtle, and then start throwing some dirt on some turtle, and then they call it Turtle Island. You got to think, man. Are they sniffing that peyote? Is they going on too many spirit walks? What's the real deal going on here with all this Native American information? That'd be some bogus ass shit. But contact some mountaineers, you'll learn more information about the whole damn area than any of those Native Americans can tell you. And that's what it is with those languages too. So the problem is when people are saying, oh, Latin, French, German, yeah, Dutch, uh, Spanish, man, those languages come from over there in Europe. That I can show and prove that actually the language comes from over here in America. And they have worked with the people who created all those dictionaries. You see all the names up there. I'm gonna make sure I left it up there long for everybody to see. Yeah, the American Indian word. Okay, so all of them. You pause on that, and when you pull out all these languages, you're not gonna find any of them having direct connections to any of French, Latin, Spanish, or so on. The only one that you're gonna find that has that connection is Gawe Noaga. That's it. Now they might call it Gawe. They might call it different names. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? So it's time for the real linguist to really shine and show what it is. So this is what it is. Like when you say Amerigo Vespucci discovered America, and it's named after him, or now he received the name, the story is still false. It's really something they made up recently, and they're using the words Amerigo. So when I say Amerigo is ama origo, I can actually say that because the syllable breakdown in the name origin and etymology goes back to that. Once you try and say that it matches to an island language or it matches to God, Wino Waga, or you trying to say that, and then you can take the word corrections and and this information, you line it straight up. Only God we pull out of certain languages, you know. So if it wasn't for my good brother, you know, Sanani Mawusi, I would have never had the chance to really dig into these linguistic, excuse me, of the languages over here in California. But that was how I made my complete match in 2015 when I started looking up the languages up here for a second time in my life. And, separating the ones that are, really bull. You know what I'm saying? They're not from here. They're Siberian. Some of them they're Sicilian. Some of them got some other mix to them. And whatever. Don't really care. All I know is I found the ones that are matching up, and then digging into the source, seeing like if they have some mulattoes, some people that slid through the cracks that were able to make these dictionaries. And I found them. So that's why I always suggest y'all go get it. And the only way you're gonna find Gawinawaga is by going into what's called the Seneca dictionary. Once you go up in there, pull out all the words that say literally, there you go. Pull your Gawinawaga words out. Or you're gonna go down the circle. You know, when it comes to all the other languages up there, you're not going to find any connection to Latin, French, German at all. So I don't know if anybody, really that well studied in linguistics that can show and prove. But I will say this: when I read the Rasmus Ross, I saw stuff up there that shouldn't be there. Words that when it comes to certain dictionaries, I know they didn't exist during that man's life. Then we look up the Grimm stories, Rumpelstiltskin and the so-called Grimm's brother wrote. They wrote fairy tales. But when you dig into where they really get these words from, you only gonna find it in Gawinawaga, and you can find it in the Shishimunga. Now, when it comes to Shishimunga, man, that's people in the South, that's people on the West Coast, Central America, and South America. And that's why I always refer back to Shashamunga, and it was Sananu Mawusi who put me on that when he wrote his book Tongfa. And I started digging into that. That was it. That was it for me. That was what I needed to make the connections to um, the tribes I've been studying, returning back to this part of the world. So, studying those languages, which is Berber and Beja, that's how I find out that some of the people that came over here that are Sicilian, they spoke a Berber type of language. The ones this a lot of people don't know about this. Y'all gonna have to start digging into some of these people that were coming over here and see what they're really speaking. Real Berber language is not Arabic. So there's a whole lot of stuff to that too. Arabic is a modern creation. Just to make it plain and simple. After 18 countries and they started wiping down maps and changing the names on the maps. They're trying to say they started before that, but really 1875 is when they started changing everything. That's when it became, you only need to know what we show you. And we no longer saw what they share amongst each other. I've been busting out some of the stuff that they hide and don't really share with people. And I'm going to tell you this. Um, some of the stuff is so mind blowing and breathtaking. People who are ready to accept that the world is not what they think it was. The way you've been looking at the world, you've been looking at the world the wrong way. Um, and and we have to go into the languages. That's the same thing. See, my searching for language is to find, the stuff that is connected to my ancestors. So, one of the languages. Um, when it comes to that so-called connections, they try and take you out there to Europe. Most basically, what I'm giving everybody is, um, even when it comes to the so-called. In fact, let me read those. These what the hell? That shit. Dang. Okay, damn, I had it back there. Okay, y'all. Testing, 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2 1 2. 1 2. All right. So, um, look up the names Elijah Ben Yehuda, and that right there is the origin from all these names that people say it's Hebrew, and you say that these symbols are called Hebrew symbols, and you're saying that those Hebrew symbols, which are not Hebrew symbols, make up these Hebrew letters, which are not Hebrew letters, to make a word in the so-called Hebrew language, and then try and say that it's attached to one of those languages from those dictionaries that I just add up here on the screen. Um, that comes from Eliezer Ben Yehuda wrote the first Hebrew dictionary, right? Now, the person, like, this is how names like Yamana, you have to go find out which one is it. This is also connected to the importance of how you connect these languages, which is using Berber and Beja. These are key languages that are missing in a lot of people work. But it's because they they haven't done enough, I'm saying, enough research. But in due time, hopefully this helps give a lot of brothers a great deal of linguistic understanding. So Elijah ben Yehuda creates the bold font Hebrew. He starts using these symbols that already existed and said that these are the Hebrew language. That's right. His name is Elijah ben Yehuda. Names like Benjamin, you'll find they'll say that it's Ben Yahama, Yamana, right? Ben Yamana, changed to Benjamin. It goes from to Ben Yamana with Elijah ben Yehuda, and then they made another version of it called Benjamin, and that is Miguel de Unamuno. Miguel de Unamuno is using the Koine Greek. They say the Koine Greek is Hebrew. So Miguel de Unamuno and the people that he was writing with down there in Mexico and other places in Europe, you look up these people's stories, they're doing all kind of stuff around the same time. So, like his literary career works covers a great deal of stuff, saying in the Bible stuff too. So anyway, you have Khalil Gibran and the people that he worked with at the time, which will give you a clear cut understanding of this so-called Arabic stuff coming in the early 20th century. Khalil Gibran, yep, kind of weird, into some Islamic Sufi magic or whatever. Even before that, this one still needs to be challenged. I still haven't found any evidence for Gustav Flugel writing the so-called authorized Quran. Just like all the other Qurans before that, we cannot find no original ones. It's all some recent printed carbon copy of a carbon copy nonsense that they try and put on display for these things. So, yeah, uh, look up Jacob Martino and all that information to get an understanding that when you look that up, you have to look up the Jewish Encyclopedia history. This, what I'm saying, this is basically my dissertation. That basically they started putting together these people's stuff, and these people were doing it, and they were writing the history of a lot of different names changes and names to give for us for surnames. Again, that's Elijah ben Yehuda and Miguel de Unamuno. Right, right. Arabic stuff came later. Credit that to Khalil Gibran and many other people that he was dealing with. And supposedly they say Gustav Flugel, but I'm gonna have to go with the stuff I found during Khalil Gibran's time. Still doing some research on it, but Gustav Flugel supposedly wrote the Quran in 1834 and was used until 1893. But I'm finding that really the Alliance Israelite University were the ones putting that together. You see, they take the date of in the Holy Quran, the authorized version, in 34 to 1893. So even when it comes to this Arabic stuff, we're still finding out until 1893. And that's funny because even the source for Jacob Montino is 1891, 1898, 1891, Khalil Gibran, all used the work of Isidore Singer, publishing 105, but it was not nationalized until 1953. So I have to take 1805 and really say that these motherfuckers made this shit up and put it out in 1953. I have to look at this is the way I have to use my brain to look at these people who lie and make up anything that you can imagine. So all these buildings are longhouses, huh? Okay, longhouses are not long cabins. Okay, the other part I can't really can't read that on there because I'm trying not to say certain names and certain stuff. So basically, how they say German is Yiddish. Well, that goes back to Rasmus Rosk, and I'm saying that I'm just gonna go out and say that 1875 they really start getting their hands on printing presses and using them and making languages and having these schools they're creating with the AI. I will agree to that information until I can find data that says something else. That's when they started creating these schools in these different countries. America, Central America, South America, Northern Northern Africa, Southern Europe, and the Middle East. They did that. It's called the AI. Okay. All right. And the time that they were fully active and functional is between the times of 1875 what 1898. So any of the data coming out of languages and all that stuff has to go through them. It comes to the language that Mr. Now I'm not even gonna say people name. Be respectful. That when it comes to, let me get the other one. There we go. There when it comes to, man, that's the wrong one. Yeah, my phone. How does it? All right, y'all. Chief about to go on in a minute. Uh, yeah, I want to share that I have found the connections, and I find it odd that it's the this language that they'll try and say spreads in their one group of people, and they have all this territory, and that's when you know people playing games. And I know people playing games because the ones that I found that are the real ancestors from here and people that have carried on the cultures and traditions. Unfortunately, they live on the Pacific Ocean side of this world, the last remnants. So you got to holler at them. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking forward to hollering at them later and getting. I need to get some hardcore information on you know what I'm saying all the little isolated pockets, isolated languages where everybody is just melanated and they have a language that they're speaking. You know what I'm saying? I've been digging into a couple of them, and I'm gonna say this: none of them connect to the old, Algonquin stuff. And even when it comes to Algonquin and Ojibwa, it's like they received their names from another language. That you know that you know that Gawino Waga predates these languages because it's the one that's naming all these languages. So why did they make that the mother tongue of all those languages that I showed before? I don't know. I don't know. But I can show and prove that if anybody says that this language Algonquin is connected to Arabic, well, that means that language was put together later. That's all. Just means after the 1870s. That's it. That's all. And I find that it's actually not Arabic, but Berber. And even inside of the name of the language, it has one of the Edwines. It's called the Edwines groups. And all of these Edwine groups, they have long names. See, Berbers are really from what we call India until proven otherwise. That's what I have discovered that they say, and I'm talking about Tamil Dravidian. But when it comes to Beja people are from Canada, and it's been a hard time trying to build with saying Beja people and so on. But it's my connections and relatives who are Muslim who actually led me to speaking to some of them that were returning back to Canada. If you know anybody out in Canada, tell them to go contact the Beja community and start learning those languages. You're gonna get a better understanding of the other side of the information, other than saying that, man, we got the language that, what I'm saying, that we can show and prove. Like I can show and prove French, Latin, Spanish, so-called German is coming from Gawi Nawaga. Like I can show that. But when it comes to Hebrew, I can only find certain parts that come from Gawi Nawaga. And when it comes to Arabic, it's following the same linguistic principles. You know, they're following the same principles. The Hebrew and Arabic language, they just pronounce a few nouns different. Basically the same damn language when you break it down. With the high frequency words, but when you get to the low frequency words, of course, those are not the same exact words. I had an argument with a couple of people about this, saying that because they got mad that I said that a new language that's following some principles that are not from here. A lot of people were upset about that. But I try to explain that all those languages, all of them, all of them, the sounds, that you have to read the diacritical marks in order to pronounce these words the right way. Otherwise, if you don't know how to read diacritical marks, you're not going to know how to pronounce these words the right way. That's when you know how to read diacritical marks, and that these words try and say, no, that's how you respond to someone that's saying it. That's just not even true. But I had somebody that supposedly Seneca, try and go in my well, that was on this channel. Try to go, saying and call me out, saying I'm basically doing more harm than good to his language or whatever. That the men and women say the word the same way, and I'm like, yeah, y'all some dainty weirdos. Are incorrect when you watch the Seneca videos. Talking about Unyawe Sagano, it means hello, and like you're greeting somebody, and it's saying welcome. It's like greeting somebody saying marhaba. So it has Unyawe in the Sagano. And when you break down what it really means, you'll find out that they've created pidgin languages. It's not none of those are the original ways of greeting each other, or that formal and informal. So when you break down the basics, you'll find of the words we have in English are coming out of what they call the Seneca Dictionary, not Algonquin. I'm not finding any Algonquin words like that. And I'm even finding and giving certain name by people who are not from that area. I learned when they say Pasadena means, So some of this stuff can seem reaching, but you got Governor of Heaven when you break it down that way. But when you say Pasakanga or Pasakanga, Then you saying something else. See, Pasakanga and Asuksanga and Shishamunga, you know what I'm saying? These are words that we can show that are coming from people that don't have that fingerprint. You know, they don't have that fingerprint. All those other languages got that fingerprint. But anyway, y'all, the She people are the Shishamunga. She people, again, are the Shishamunga, also known as Shoshone, also known as Tongva. And the people that ain't even related, they just collecting some money called Gabrianos and trying to change everything. Yeah. On the admiration, my good brothers and sisters of the feather. I'll have plenty of more uh, petrified giants to come. boy, I got some stuff that's mind blowing that I'm gonna start showing. It's really gonna blow your mind. Honorable admiration on my good brothers and sisters of the feather. I'm saving the details of this because, you know what I'm saying, this information has been challenged. I want to see what anybody has to bring to the table, and I'll do a rebuttal video if anybody can address the fact that uh, the only language to use over here, I call it by what I call it, because that's the mother tongue, that's the old language, and that's Gawe Nawaga. I don't know about anything else, and the Ghana Nawaga attached, you know what I'm saying, it's the Shishamonga, same words, all I need to know. And all the words for the comparison in between, I got that. You know, people want to learn, because at first when I was starting to learn the languages, I already knew because my grandfather told me that they tainted all of it, language and the traditions and the beliefs. So with that being tainted, you know what I'm saying, kind of discouraged me from even wanting to learn the languages. So I wanted to dig into the languages that weren't tainted. And these are languages that I found. Once again, Shishamonga language, Shishamonga, Shishamonga, Shashamonga, people of the mountain, same thing in Gawe Noaga. The word mountain, where does it come from? There goes one word for you right there. The word mountain really comes from here. So